A resume is a journal of where somebody was. It's not a representation of their skill, experience, or their contribution to the results that were achieved. And so it can be very hard to differentiate between people who apply for jobs or professional service providers to determine whether or not they're actually an expert or a specialist in their field. And I think this is a skill that needs to be generated, but there's a few tricks of the trade. One of the tricks of the trade is that you should always ask people, can you show me an example from your career where you've done the exact thing that I'm asking you to do for me? And if they say yes, then you should get them to explain the example. And then you should say, can you please help me understand what is it about that particular situation that is exactly the same as mine, or at least very similar to mine, that actually makes them the same? When they've explained to you what makes it the same, you should then be turning around to them and saying, cool, so if that's how they're the same, can you please help me understand how is this different to that? And the key trick here is that most people will be really good at telling you the story that you want to hear. And that is that, oh, yep, we've done this, and yep, they're exactly the same, and I've been here and done that. But only people who are true, honest, and critical independent thinkers will actually be able to tell you with respect the important nuances that differentiate that situation from yours. Now, if it's not a professional service provider and maybe it's a person applying for a job, the kind of reverse of this question would be, well, tell me about a job that you've done that's similar. You explain to me how these particular contexts are similar. And then I would slightly reiterate that question and I would say to them, can you help me understand for this particular job, what skills do you not have? And not only is this a good way of determining their independent critical thinking, it's actually also a really good assessment of their honesty and self-awareness. Because if people are not able to honestly determine the difference in their environment and the context, and they're not able to honestly communicate the areas that they lack, it typically indicates intellectual arrogance. And more often than not, you don't want to work with people who are intellectually arrogant. And that's because people who are very intellectually arrogant normally aren't actually that intellectually gifted.